Good afternoon or good morning, depending on your time zone. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to our first edition of Industry Chats for 2026. I can't believe it. I've actually been saying 2025 for weeks and getting confused, so I did it right. And today we have my amazing friend, and honestly, just have you on with us, John Elston. John, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited to be here. It seems like this has been like a year in the making, but it really hasn't because we haven't had a chance to get together, but today we are.
I know. No, this is such an honor. And in fact, we're gonna introduce you and all of that, but John's birthday was yesterday. So if you're joining us, happy birthday, John. He has so much going on. Obviously, we want to hear all about what your work is, at the Wild Heart team right now. So John is founder and CEO. For those that I don't know that you need an intro, if I'm being honest, but John is an author. He's a speaker. I mean, all of these things. I can't wait to dive in. But I do have to, because my team will not be happy if I don't. I just want to welcome everyone to Industry Chats. This is our weekly show by Affixify, where I get to sit down with various industry influencers, amazing people in our space, and we just chat, we converse, and we talk about various things that are on the minds of our industry. And so when John agreed to be on today, I was like, this is really a humbling moment. I don't think I would have imagined a guest of your caliber in our young stages of a company. So John, welcome to Industry Chat.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
It's an honor. Tell us, well, before we jump in, would you just tell us a little bit about Wild Heart and what you're doing, and give us some context?
Yes, absolutely. It gets simpler every day, believe it or not. It gets simpler every day because right now, the things that I focus on are very strong with consolidation. And I get down a direction and I see an opportunity to consolidate and combine that skill set with another practice or a trend or things that are needed. And then pretty soon it ends up just as one hefty sized ball that we're really doing one thing. And so I'll tell you the three things that all rolled up into one. I am, along with my team, building AI frameworks that are implementable to hotels across the country. And sometimes they can be very simple frameworks and sometimes they're custom build outs, but it's really all about saving time, getting time back, and eliminating those friction points. Secondly, where Wild Heart really started was with fractional leadership. Because as I exited my last opportunity and started Wild Heart, I found this overwhelming need, as we all still do, to find talent and exceptional talent. But then we're also pressed with a tough economy to not be able to always afford exceptional talent. So I put together this fractional piece. Lastly, where it really all came together was speaking and teaching. And we'll hopefully talk a little bit about why that's my ikigai and how I use that as my platform to spread the happiness of fractional and AI.
Amazing. I can't wait to dive in. And I when we did our pre-show, I was telling you, I'm so excited to get your point of view and perspective on AI. We get a lot of perspectives on this show, but yours is very certainly excited about that. And I learned something new about you in the last 10 minutes. I feel like every time we talk, I learn something new, that you met Mother Teresa at some point in your career.
And that's probably the first time. I'm not even sure why it came up in our conversation, because I probably haven't talked about that out loud for 10 or 15 years, but I did. And it was very spontaneous and it was very unexpected. And I still remember every second of it to this day. It was back in the mid 90s. I got a chance to shake her hand and thank her for presenting to a very large group in Washington, D.C. And it put me on a different path. It really did.
Wow, it's phenomenal. I mean, like I said, you just never know. You never know what you're going to learn about people. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. What's really funny is Jasmine and I when we were talking and I was telling her this, I got through the story and I said, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I got to meet President Clinton on the second day of office. That became the secondary and tertiary piece of the whole conversation. And that was why I went. I went.
Why you went. But it sounds from your story like he really showed you unreasonable hospitality, So, I mean, that's actually phenomenal.
Wow. You just gave me goosebumps. It was unreasonable for a president of the second day in office to walk me from his quarters to the Oval Office and know my name, know my city, knew what I was there for, and then to wish me, a good year, because it was right after the inaugural. So, yeah, I love to reflect back on those times. Thanks for elevating that and letting me share it.
Yeah, well, it's just a reminder we're all human trying to do a job in this world, whether you're president or John Elston or Mother Teresa, you know?
Right, right. Never did
I love
that
it.
sentence together, but thank you.
I love it. You know, and this is good. So I'm excited because you have a very unique point of view on AI.
Yeah.
You have a very specific way of thinking about AI. And I think that is going to lay the framework a little bit. And again, for those watching, if you watch us weekly, you know, this show can take a million directions. So we're going to start here and see how this builds. But tell me a little bit about your way of thinking on AI, because I mean, we're all hearing it, right? Like there's no getting around it. And I think we're all kind of looking for this source of truth and maybe some wisdom in how is AI going to integrate into travel and hospitality? And then, of course, in the greater picture, tell us a little bit about how you're looking at it.
Well, I'll tell you, the way I look at it now is very much the way that I discovered it. And my sense of truth, bottom line was, I also don't talk about this very often. You have an amazing way of bringing, untalked about things out of people.
Uh-oh.
But I suffer from level 4 dyslexia and ADHD. And I have my whole life, didn't really identify it until 15, 16 years ago. And I got a chance to enter into a beta program called OpenAI back in 2015.
Yeah.
I got
your book, by the way, all your stories.
My doctor referred me and said, hey, there's this thing out there, and it's going to help you because you have a hard time pronouncing words. You have a hard time, recognizing numbers and flipping them back and forth. And most importantly, this is going to help you learn more.
Yeah.
So from a very personal place, I discovered AI back in 2015. And it's one of those things that I have always been in touch with a little bit at a time. And then boom, skyrocketed in like August of 2022. You couldn't turn a channel anywhere and not hear about it. And now it's continuing to elevate. And really what it did for me, Jasmine, when I discovered is what I'm using now as my first step with clients, is it helps save time. It helps you learn. It gives you the opportunity to get better in less time. And I think we're going to talk about this a little bit, but my real conversion point was when I stopped using AI as a tool, because people say, which tool are you using? And I quickly jump in and say, I have implemented these platforms to create a system.
So
and
smart.
Once you get past that it's not a tool, it is, but the reality is making it become your system. Put it into a system and you build it into SOPs and you build it into your everyday life, then it becomes more comfortable. And you put up guardrails, right? You have certain restrictions and things that you mandate. And I'll be honest, I think AI is making us all become more human. Because and I'll tell you why. You go to Google, and if you have to be very specific and robotic about your prompt. Very specific prompt into Google to get it to spit out something. AI is very conversational. And I think for people, not just people like me who have used their learning differences to grow, I think that it helps people build conversations. It helps you get comfortable. For the introvert that wants to be more extroverted, for the extrovert that wants to be more introverted, you can have these conversations and you can get smarter and you can learn. You can read from, so it's all of those things that once you get comfortable with it and understand that it should be a system, right? Not a tool. And most importantly, when I go and I talk to large groups, sometimes I talk to small groups, doesn't matter if it's 500 people or 10 people, there's a hand in the audience that goes, is AI going to take my job? When is AI taking my job? And I just simply say, look, remember this analogy. You are Batman. You're Batman. AI is Robin, okay? And they're the dynamic duo. Robin never saved Gotham City. Robin never got to drive the Batmobile. Batman did, and you're Batman. Use AI as Robin, and then you become a superhero. And once I do that, I just see people go, whoa, Robin is my assistant. AI is my assistant, right? And people start to get that to click and then think.
Well, I'm intrigued because so for me, I'm not going to talk even Affixify because we hear from every AI vendor under the sun, but I actually lean heavily into ChatGPT to help me refine meeting notes, or I actually just started throwing in, hey, here's my last 5 emails. What are the trends that we're seeing with our prospects, so I can help speak to their pain points, things like that. And so I do agree with you, but where I'm most intrigued is then how, because to me, I would say I would use it as a tool right now. How are you now building it into a system? And I know this leads into the fractional work topic and all of that, but I'm very intrigued. So if, as all of people like me who are maybe founders and busy and we're really intrigued, like, okay, well, what does that mean? What would you tell me if we were sitting in a consult on the systems front?
Yeah. If we were doing an intake call, I am first off going to be a very big listener. And I have a tendency, forever lifetime sales guy, to oversell and tell everybody all the benefits and what I'm going to do for them. But the bottom line is you have to, if we were in a consult, I would be asking a lot of questions. And that very first step of a 3-step process for me is map the work. So where are your friction points, right? Where are the pain points? Where are the leaks of time? And then you say, well, what's a leak of time? Where do you find yourself sitting down, frustrated, procrastinating, not getting things done, overpaying, spending more time? And we make a detailed kind of a mind map of your work.
Wow.
And from that, I would help you pick a solution, because it used to just be 1 or 2 solutions, right? Now there are so many solutions that the end result of using AI isn't using AI, it's building, right? So you can use AI to build a website. The website's not delivered on AI. It's delivered through the platform in which you built it on, but you build it with AI. So we'd go through that second step of what is the right solution for you? And those solutions come in very simple from, I'll revert back for a second. A lot of people are still using AI to, tell me dad jokes. How do I cook lasagna? What temperature is it out today? And what will it be like tomorrow? That's fun and that's great. But there's one step above that. And that's the simple things, right? How do I save time? How do I build? How do I get to the starting line with things like that? Picking the right solution, and then making adoption real. The number one most important thing is I try to work myself out of a job in every job I take. That's my goal. I'm not there. Yeah. And that's what I teach my fractional team is your job is to work yourself out of this job the day you start. You start to work out. And what do you need when you do that? I need a champion inside the walls of the company that I'm working with. And I did this 10 years ago, 15 years ago when I started my marketing agency. I always found a champion who loves social media, who wants to learn. I guarantee you in any company, any place right now, for those that are afraid, there's 10 or 15% that are excited.
Yeah.
Get that champion, bring them in as the third phase and teach, and turn it over. And once you have that turned over to somebody in the organization, you've mapped out the work, you've given them the right solution. You can go anywhere from very simple things to custom build outs. It's awesome.
I'm mind blown. No, I'm so excited. In fact, this is, I hope for those listening now or later on YouTube, they'll really follow this advice because it answers a lot of questions. And what I have found personally, and I'd be curious on your take on this, is a lot of people are so focused on the tool itself, the functionality itself. They're not focused on the solution it brings. And I'm guilty of that. And I read a post, so I'm not going to be able to own this, but I thought it was very brilliant. Somebody said, we need to focus less on AI and more of what's the problem it's solving for you. I mean, that's so obvious, right? But like at the end of the day, yes, my solution has AI included, but what's the problem it's solving? And I think that it's powerful to hear. And now tell us about your framework.
Can I go back for 1 second and give you an example of exactly what you said?
Yes.
So here's an example of a fairly large client, manages and oversees hundreds of hotels. I got an opportunity to go speak to that group about AI and the adoption of AI and what to be afraid of and what not to be afraid of. And the bottom line was the Q&A afterwards. And this is in a large group. There's probably 600 in the audience. Hand goes up and says, how can AI help me anticipate and deliver the results my asset manager is expecting from me? That led to conversation after conversation, to a smaller room, to a boardroom, where we came up with the problem was we had a very aggressive asset manager who had very high demands, who thought their job was always to beat us to the punch rather than to work together. And I said, give me a week. Let me go back and see if I can create a solution. So we did rule number one, we mapped the problem. Number two, I picked the format and which tool they could turn into a system. And then we went into an adoption. And what we created together as a team was something I named her Samantha, short for Sam, S-A-M. And we created her and we're using her across the United States. SAM stands for Smart Asset Manager.
Of course it does.
So I created the smartest with my team, not just me and AI, but we created the smartest asset manager in the world. And every day we keep making Sam smarter and smarter and smarter. And so now this team, and we built it around the ownership group that was really tough. So we said, why are these guys tough? Who are they? Go do the research. Tell me what they expect. What are their non-negotiables? How do I get through? How do I prepare? How do I deliver results? And right now, this agentic SAM that we built sits on the desktops of about 250 hotels.
It's phenomenal.
And then the next step was the asset manager called me at one of the hotels and said,
ask that.
How do I get that? I want to make me smarter as an asset manager. So can you train Sam to be me? And we did that. It's so fun. Yeah, that's an example of exactly finding the solution.
And that's what I think is so different about your perspective is you're trying to find ways for us to be friends with AI, right? Versus this, there's just so many perspectives. And I think we're getting a little bit, I'm going to forget the word from my college class, but we did like a whole class when I was in college at marketing of like marketing fatigue. And, you know, you get so tired of hearing the same things. And I think we're starting to feel that a little bit with AI. So what you're providing is a very fresh perspective and it's solutions oriented. I appreciate it greatly. Because I think the sooner we can get out of this question of like, my job's going away. Right. And I'm not saying there's none of that, but I think the sooner we can take the John Elston approach, right, the better, because it's not going anywhere. AI is not going anywhere.
Thank you. And if AI, people talk about the bubble, right? Everything you turn around right now, is there an AI bubble? It's primarily related to the stocks and the companies and the investments that are behind AI. Is there a bubble? Is it going to break? I don't think anybody knows. I think eventually it will plateau. The research and the things I'm reading right now, if there was a bubble, there's a backlog of at least 10 years worth of work that needs to be done just to catch up. So we just need to be brave, and we know that it's not going away, and we need to take a little slice, a little piece at a time, and just know that it has the power and the potential to positively change what we do.
Incredible. I feel like if we had this conversation decades ago about the internet, I mean, that famous picture of, you know, I think it's a newspaper article where some journalist wrote, you know, the internet's a trend or a fad. It's not going anywhere. And then here we are, right? Like we've built entire businesses around the internet.
Go back centuries. What about the printing press?
Yes.
Everyone's like, no, they're putting things in words and it takes 10 days to get it in. And the printing press, and then that led to media, then the internet, and
I mean, it's total side note, but I like to read sometimes older books that I read as a child just for a new perspective. And one of the books I'm reading, they're saying when the train was invented and then train tracks started coming through these, you know, towns, and the settlers were like, oh, this is very scary, and you know, what does this mean for society? And I had told my husband, imagine in 100 years if they could look forward, and now we're in the air, you know, we're going everywhere in airplanes. So anyway. It makes me think about. But so I love talking to you because we could just talk for days. I do want to know a little bit though about how you're using this AI framework for fractional talent. And so just before our call, I was actually doing a video for our marketing team because they wanted me to kind of look at some real-time LinkedIn comments. And the one post I was looking at, I had posted about how fractional talent is becoming such a need. And it's like, greatly enhancing productivity, like by 30+%, and I'm sure it's greater for companies that otherwise couldn't afford this talent. So you know way more than I do. Tell me how you're now pairing AI and fractional, because these are like two very big opportunities right now.
It's crazy because it seems so obvious to me now, right? AI, what does it do? It saves you time. It makes you smarter. It allows you to move faster to get things done. And then what does fractional do? It gives you a smaller amount of a super expert's time. Somebody that you wouldn't be able to afford, somebody that can cross industries and bring things to you and your business that maybe you couldn't see the forest through the trees, and they're bringing that to the table. Now, when I take my superstar AI or my superstar fractional team, the first thing we do is we pair them with AI framework.
Okay.
So I provide them all the tools and the systems so that they can go in. And let me back up for a second. When I talk to somebody about fractional, where it usually starts is I'm looking for an expert CMO. I need somebody, and it usually is 3 to 6 months. And they spit out all of these potential and what they expect and their the results that they want to see. What they're describing to me is about a $350,000 to $450,000 a year CMO.
Yeah.
Right? They're describing this superstar, and I say, "Great. What is your budget?" Well, we're paying somewhere around 110 grand. And they just are on this hamster wheel of hiring people that aren't capable of delivering yet at where they're at in their career, the results of expectation.
Right.
And so then I get to the point of, how would you feel about someone fractional that is a superstar? Here is their resume as a CMO, a CFO, a COO, CRO, whatever they've done. And their first deal is, oh, I can't afford that. Yes, you can, because here's how we're going to do it. They're going to come to work with you into this position for 15 to 20 hours a week. Okay, 15 to 20 hours a week. And I promise you, they're going to get more done in those 15 to 20 hours than somebody working 50 to 60 hours. You're going to pay a fractional of their wage. You're going to get a fraction of their time. And then when they start to ask how, besides the person, that's where I layer in the AI.
Okay.
So it works in this ecosystem. Then I get this superstar on the phone that they say, John, I love what I do. I'm not ready to stop doing what I'm doing. I just don't want to do the 60, 70 hours a week anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to be dedicated to one company. And then we talk the fractional piece. So it's kind of like a matchmaker.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very smart. And then how are you like addressing fear if these fractional experts or your client, the company themselves are like, well, what about AI? I don't know about that, or fear around fractional? Because are there comments where people are like, well, we want their whole attention? How do you address those fears?
Of course. Well, first thing you do is so let's start with the fear of, wow, no, you don't really understand our company or our culture. Yeah. And I don't think somebody for 15 or 20 hours is going to work. Right. Then you present the individual. I never present a resume.
Yeah.
People, and I only have about 8 people on the superstar team, but I never present their resume. I present them as individuals. And then they get on and they're like, the owner or the manager or the director or the CEO calls me back and says, wow, she's amazing. Let's do this. So it starts with the person. It's not me. It starts with that superstar person who then gets on and convinces them. The other thing I do is I say immediately, the old money back guarantee. If this doesn't work for you, you don't pay me. You don't pay the individual.
Wow. Okay.
I am 13 for 13 in placements.
Not surprised.
And not only have these leaders and business owners been happy with the fractional piece, they're asking for more.
Yeah.
Worked with the CMO. Can you get me a CFO that will come in and do this? Mm-hmm. And so they're asking for more. On the superstar side, they're like, John, this has been an amazing experience. Can you get me another job? Can I go to 30 hours a week? Can I get another client? So it's just this kind of juggling act in this ecosystem that's right now a win-win-win, because at the end of the day, it's all about results. Yeah. And happy fractional people make happy CEOs, and that flows through to what everybody expects.
I love it. It makes a better industry too. And what's intriguing too is, so you have the AI component of what you're doing. You obviously are, really helping on this fractional side, but you're an author and you're a speaker. Right at a year ago, I read Remote Revolution. So before you and I had ever talked, I knew who you were, but I ordered the book. I loved it. And what's interesting is like the way you wrote the book, I just have to say, it felt like I was reading a story. And so what I appreciate about that is, I grew up overseas, and I've been very blessed to travel. So for me to like really get immersed in your stories of being remote, and it was
Yeah.
so helpful, but it also, of course, showed the point of why
Yeah.
remote work should be celebrated. I really liked it, but so you have all of these
Well,
components of AI, but tell me a little bit about like what you're up to on the speaking side. And of course, I want to hear any aha moment you have. I ask every guest that.
yeah.
That was a lot to ask, so you go for it.
Well, I tell you, the speaking came very first, and it came out of left field. Okay, it came out of left field a week before an opportunity. A meeting planner called me who was planning an event for a very large hotel company, and said, she calls me JE. She said, JE, what are you doing next Thursday? I said, next Thursday, I got a full schedule of, okay, how about Friday? I said, Friday, I'm open. I can, what do you need? And she said, a speaker fell out. Can you come speak at an event? It's a bunch of hoteliers. I didn't even think about it. I just said yes. And then it was like, on what topic? Well, it's on hospitality and reasonable hospitality. And, you're building this brand at Soul Community Planet. Just give us a half a day Friday. And Jasmine, I went and did this. And I got off that stage so energized and so pumped up that my mind was really telling me this is what I was meant to do. It was so fun. And not because everybody stood at the end and clapped and cheered and then waited in line to talk to me. It was 90 minutes on that stage without one slide behind me,
Wow.
talking about what I was passionate about. And I had always quietly been in search of, the Japanese term or philosophy called the Ikigai. And I never really understood it. And I always thought my purpose in life was hospitality.
Yeah.
I thought that was my purpose. Hot food hot, cold food cold, heads in beds, right temperature in the lobby, people wearing name tags, good customer service. And it wasn't until I did that first speaking engagement that I said, that's not my purpose. And I started to listen to the people in the audience. My purpose was none of that. My purpose is how I make people feel after I do what I do.
So good.
When I'm doing what I do, it's how I make people feel. So it wasn't the heads in beds.
Yeah.
It wasn't the hot food hot or the cold food cold. It was how I was making people feel as a general manager at that time. And so I just took the Ikigai theme and said, I just found something that I love. I just found something I think I'm good at. Yeah. And I found something that someone's willing to pay me for.
Amazing.
So those three things. I mean, I love tacos and I'm good at eating them, but no one's going to pay me for eating tacos.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
And I think that's what people have to do. They say, what do I love? What am I good at? And what is someone willing to pay me for? And they shouldn't be ashamed or embarrassed to say, what is someone willing to pay me for? Because we have to live, and that's what life is about. And that's what a big motivator for some and less for others. But if you get those three things, and that's what speaking became for me. And I then transitioned out of my role at SCP and started getting referrals from one speaking gig. And what they started asking me, Jasmine, was, can you talk about AI? Can you talk about AI? Can you talk about AI?
Not surprised.
And I said, yes, of course. And then I enrolled in MIT, the great school that taught me a lot. And I went to school for 3.5 months back there and learned AI as much as I could, studied a lot. And then I started speaking about it. And then turned it back to the industry. So long story, sorry about that. But that's how it all started, with my Ikigai of what I love, what I'm good at, and what someone will pay me for.
Well, and what I think, like what's going through my mind hearing you talk, one of the coolest things is, because I have read your book, so I know a little bit about your former life, right? And your agency and all of that. And from our conversations, like you could have stayed in that world. Agency, you're a best-selling author, you truly are. And so you could have just stayed there, and that's actually pretty great. But now you've evolved, and you keep evolving yourself in your career. And I think, what makes the most successful people, whether we're judging and, financial or not, but what makes the most successful people are people that are willing to think differently, provide different perspective and always be growing. And of course you check all of those boxes and more. And to be able to say like, here's what I'm doing now. And I think you even told me like the book is awesome. The book is still selling like crazy, but that's not your only focus. It's just
Yeah.
incredible. It's very
Well, thank
inspiring.
you. I got, like I said, I got very lucky to have a great publisher with a great team and to be writing in the moment. I appreciate what you said about the book being kind of storytelling, because I wrote the book on 27 of these legal pads because I do have dyslexia and I don't type. I just
Yeah.
don't. So I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and then I put these in a box and I sent them to the publisher, and I almost got fired. And they said,
like,
"It's just all handwriting stuff, and you're left-handed, and we can't read it. None of it's right." And then they came back and they took every one of my words and turned it into a manuscript. And
Amazing.
so, yeah,
Amazing.
it was about the team.
I love it. I love it so much. Now, tell me two more things. So, one is, have you had a big aha moment in your career that would kind of shape who you are today? It can be personal too, but career-wise, what would that be? We can come back too.
No, it's something that I've not always been great at, and it's something that I still have to force myself to do. And that's simple.
Yeah.
Just start. Start. Fail. Break it. Be broken. Heal. Start. Right? And it gives me chills and goosebumps to even say that, because I'm still doing that today. And I tell people, I tell my kids, I tell my friends, just start, because you don't know how long you're going to get to be on this earth. You don't know if there's going to be tomorrow. And you always say, we'll do this later. I'll do it tomorrow. It's not just business. It's everything in your life. Just start that flipping vacation, start that business, start the website. And once you do, it just transcends you into the next step. And so the aha moment for me was, don't overplan. I always overplan. Just start.
Just do it.
Does that make sense?
So much sense. I can't wait. We need to do a short on that, because so many people need to hear that and need to be, encouraged to just start. And thank you. What I want to save time for is your big announcement. So first I want to say,
oh my gosh,
thank you for just the incredible wisdom. We could probably do a whole second episode, which we might be doing. I don't know. It's such an honor to have you. And I would love to, and by the way, if you're watching live, this is a great time if you do have questions for John. But John, tell us, what is your big announcement? Are you ready for this? I'm ready. I don't know what it is.
On any of the show notes or anything else. I was kind of hoping that you might have even forgotten about it, and then I wouldn't have to do it. But no, this completely has nothing to do with the conversations that we've had. But it is something that I took on over a year ago. Wasn't even a dare. It was a challenge, and it has come to fruition, and it's coming to fruition, and it's for the best cause to me in the entire world, of what myself and three very good friends who've now become very good friends are going to do. June of 2027, myself and three friends are going to row a rowboat, 25-foot rowboat, from Monterey, California to Hawaii. 2,800 miles, for an incredible cause, to bring awareness to a company called Next Step. And I would love for anybody that listens or watches this later, just go to row, ROW, the number 4, row4nextstep.com.
Okay.
And we're going to go spend somewhere between 50 and 60 days at sea, rowing a rowboat with no sails and no motor, the four of us, 24/7, to bring awareness and raise money for individuals with paralysis. And I don't want to soapbox this too much, but I've had such great business opportunities and entrepreneurial things to do. But when this opportunity came up to really leave a legacy, not for me, but for people that are suffering from paralysis. And here's a quick fact, Jasmine. There are 6 million people in the United States suffering from paralysis, some form, some level. Just by natural, selection, the state of California only allows people with paralysis about 31 days of recovery physical therapy. It's a lifetime thing.
Right.
It's a lifetime thing to even have part of your life back. And what my friends and I discovered through a gentleman who founded this Next Step company was $5 million. $5 million will set this fitness center up in perpetuity forever to treat everybody at that center without anybody having to raise another dollar, without anybody having to go broke or mortgage their home to take care of their families or their loved ones who suffer from paralysis. So,
Wow.
a guy who gets seasick watching boats in the harbor, who isn't a good swimmer, and until last month had never been in a boat, a rowboat. We're going to row across the Pacific Ocean.
You're doing this. Okay, I do have a question. I'm very excited for this, by the way. My husband's a physical therapist, so I think this is a very worthy cause. He's actually talked to me a little bit. This is a side note, but during some of his schooling, they had to actually treat other classmates and then be treated as if paralyzed so they could somewhat take a moment in the shoes of those people. And he's like, you just can't imagine what they go through. So I'm very much resonating with what you're saying. Yeah. You weren't going to say this, but I'm going to ask. So to raise money, like, are people donating to this? Is there a way that we can help you?
Amazing. That's a great question. Thank you. Yes. And it doesn't matter if it's $1, if it's $10, or if it's, hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're looking for sponsors. We're looking for people who want to participate. This isn't done by 4 guys in a boat.
Yeah.
It's just not. We're the awareness team, right? It's done by everybody out there who's going to put in $1, who may put in a subscription to say, I'll give $10 a month between now and the time that you finish. And yeah, you can do it at that website, row, the number 4, Next Step. And we've just started the fundraising campaign. We raised a little over $25,000 in the last couple of weeks. So we got a long, long way to go. But we have a tremendous ground team. We have a tremendous group of people called the World's Toughest Row that are going to help us with the training and the certifications so that we can be as safe as possible. Get to Hawaii still as 4 friends after 60 days at sea on a 24-foot boat. And trust me, if you think about it, the next time we talk, you're going to have even more questions, because it doesn't matter. I won't even answer this today. I'll tease the audience. Whether I'm talking to a 3rd grade class or a large group, the question always comes up, where do you go to the bathroom?
I didn't even think of that.
How does that work?
Yes.
So, next episode, we'll talk about that. And then in July of 2027, let's get together and talk about 60 days at sea.
Let's recap it. I'm so excited. I would like, and my family, my immediate family, we're boaters. My boys are very, and so like, there's probably not a way we get to follow this, right? Because you're
absolutely. We're going to be all suited up with Starlink from the Starlink group is donating to a cause to that. So we'll be set up. We'll have satellite phones. You'll be able to watch us on an app and social media, the good, bad, and the ugly. And trust me, there's a lot of tough things that happen in 60 days of rowing, and it's unsupported. And I say that, not to freak people out, especially if my mom's watching today. But unsupported means that for at least 20 of the days that we'll be rowing out of the 50, the closest human being to us will be up in the space station.
Okay.
So, no boats, no helicopters, nobody tracking us except all of you back here cheering for us and praying for people with paralysis. And that's what we're going to do. So
I love it.
Thanks for letting me get out. I've been carrying it around in training. I've lost a little over 20 pounds in the last year. And I've still only been in a boat 1 time. So a lot of garage workouts.
You're going to do great. And we will be praying for both those that you're benefiting and for you guys. This is so crazy. Like I said, I never know what is going to be uncovered in our conversations. This is incredible. And John, you have just a couple of not even questions, but just comments. You have, people excited. So Blake Kavanaugh just said, great meeting you at BITAC and good to
Blake.
see you.
Right on.
Green, this is amazing. I can't wait to follow your journey. Me too.
Yeah.
Stephanie Trussell, she's actually part of my team. She's one of our founders. She said, I love the Just Start approach, and she's so excited for you. And I know our team is going to be following this journey.
Thank you. That's so great. Everybody you just mentioned too, I've had the chance, unlike you and I, Jasmine, to give a actual high five in the room together. We have to do it virtually, but I've shared stages with Bill, which is fantastic, and everybody else I've had a chance to at least shake a hand and give a hug to. So thank you.
Amazing. Well, John, thank you. And if you are watching today live or later on YouTube, I've already had people ask for the link because they couldn't make it live. If you will DM John or myself, he is giving away 10 playbooks, right? 10 playbooks. Okay.
You pick what you want. You want 10, you want a playbook on fractional leadership. If you want a playbook, if you want to be a superstar fractional leader, just drop me a note. Because it's a process, it takes time, but I am choosing the best of the best to work with me fractionally. And we're going to give away frameworks on AI. We're going to give frameworks on fractional. And I also have framework on unreasonable hospitality. Simple little playbook. So stimulate some thought and some action to just start.
Oh, thank you for offering that to our listeners. So if you're in the first 10, we're going to get you one of those playbooks, John. Such an honor, just an incredible honor to have you.
My pleasure. I love what you're doing. And I tip my hat to you, because when I say it, I mean it. You are one of the fastest, strongest, up and coming CEOs that I've ever had a chance to watch. And I hope we get to work together someday. So
what an honor. Thank you, John. You are the best. It's just an honor. And our audience, thank you guys for being with us. We are actually, I just have to say, Industry Chats is now booked through April. So we have a lot of great people coming on the show. But John, you kicked it off in just the perfect John fashion. And for those watching still, we will see you in not next week. We have a break, but then we kick back off the week of the 28th. So John, thank you. And we will see everybody in 2 weeks. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.